Okay. Well, I guess we lost her for a second. We'll continue. All right. So we are going to continue with my presentation. Just trying to get to here we go. Okay. All right, so my goal today is to assist families on their educational journey. And honestly, I just want to say that I'm an advocate for children. And what does that mean? Basically, that means that there are a lot of resources out there and tools that we can use that are available for us to educate our children. And so I don't want y'all to get on here and think, oh, she's just only for homeschool. No, the case that is, I am for educating your children. So after this session, if you feel like, you know what, I've seen the information that's needed to, consider homeschool and it's still not for me. I feel it in my heart. This solidifies it. It's not for me. Then I've done my job because I've given you the information that you need to know whether or not homeschooling is for you. And then I'm all good. I'm happy because I know that making decisions for your children is very hard, and I don't take it lightly. So I just advocate for children, and whatever tools you need to use. Just like if you were hanging a picture, you wouldn't necessarily use a Phillips head screw to nail the nail in the wall. You have to have a hammer, and then it could be a special kind of hammer. Maybe it's not a huge hammer like a sledgehammer, but a little petite hammer. Whatever tool you need, that's the one that you need to use, and good, as long as it gets the job done. So that, I just want to make that clear to begin with. A little bit about us. This is my family. This is my husband, Jeremy Duckworth. We have been married for going on 12 years in September. Woohoo! We met at the University of Alabama, so roll tide. And we have 3 beautiful children. Alexander, he's 9, and he is a very creative one. He loves to draw, and he loves to write stories and just make every area that he's in fun. Carly, she'll be 7 in August, and she is our resident chef. She's always coming up with new recipes. She's very caring, loving little girl, and very considerate. And then Phoenix, she is 4 years old. She is the life of the party. She always wants to cheer and dance, and she just loves being here in this world. So as you can imagine, our journey is full of life. Like I said, they are having a Nerf war right now, so who knows what furniture will look like when I get out of this meeting. Yeah, we decided to homeschool, and that wasn't our initial plan. My husband, he went through the public school system. His mom was a public school teacher, and we met at the University of Alabama. I went through the private school system. My mother was a public school teacher, and so we had several. We went through the different types of schooling. But when it came to putting our children through school and starting that journey, at first we were all about public school. I was ready to sign the papers, and then at that time, 5 years ago, there was a lot of school shootings, and just to be honest, like, we just didn't feel like it was a safe environment for our son. And because he's a confident little Black boy, we just didn't feel like he was ready to face the real world, so to speak, with all the prejudices that were in it, and be able to stand up strong to that, despite, other people's ignorance. And so we decided to keep him home and build that foundation for him, so that, should we decide to put him in public high school when the time comes, then he has a strong foundation where it can't be rocked as easily as when he was, a little one. And, like I said, this is something that we consider every year, do we still want to homeschool? Yes, it's the best for our family at this time, but it could change. But I just, like I said, I just want to share with you who we are and where we come from. So I learned a lot on my journey. And as you can see, I have written at top the Homeschool Foundations. This is the 4-phase program that basically I went through without anyone really telling me what I was going through. The first phase is like what I'm telling you all today. I was like you 5 years ago. Even though COVID wasn't here, I was still in that position. Where do I begin? What am I into? What is homeschool? Because I'd seen kids when I was younger, they homeschool, and all I saw was independent thinkers, very kind. I didn't meet any weird homeschoolers, so they just left an impression on me, but that's about all I knew. And so today I want to provide for you what I felt like it was provided for me, but I want to go a little bit further for you. And so I'm going to give you an overview, a prerequisite, as you will, about what is homeschool. Now, if after this you say, you know what, this is not for me, like I said earlier, that's fine. But if after we go through everything and you say, I think I really want to do this, then I just want to let you know that I'm still here for you. This is not a one and done thing. Like, I have phase 2 where I will get down in the trenches with you and I will help you set up your school. I'll assist you with the specific details of curriculum, learning style, teaching methods for your children. Then if you continue with the process, then go through the management phase, where this is where I struggled. Getting organized. Well, what do I do? How does my schoolroom look? Or when do I do school? Do I do it all day? Do I do it half a day? Do I do it 1 hour a day? What happens here and there? That's the management part. And do I spend $500 on this curriculum I've never used before? Or do I go to the free websites? Usually when you get something for free, it's not always the best, but that's not the case with homeschool. Sometimes, and I'll show you later on in my presentation, sometimes the free education is, as far as the curriculum for homeschool, is quite good, just as good as one that you would pay $500 for. So I would help you kind of process through that. And then phase 4, all right, I got my basics, now what? Where do I go? What's my plan for this year? Because for me, after my first school year with Xander, when he was in kindergarten, I'll tell you, I failed. It was an F. If you were a teacher, you would have given me an F, because I did not know what I was doing. Even though I was in a co-op, even though I had it's like when you have a child, you have all the books and you are ready for that child, right? But then once that child gets here, it's like, whoa, I don't think I know what I'm doing here. And so that's how I was. I wasn't organized. I had no plan. And you all may not struggle with that. That's just my story. And so if you do, or if you just want some tips, that's what phase 4 would look like. Okay. Now, so let's get started. Phase 1, where do I begin? That's why you're here. I know what it's like out there, because even though I've been homeschooling for 5 years, I still struggle with the idea of, oh, that looks good. Oh, that looks good. Oh, wow, they're doing this. And it's like being in a grocery store with all your favorite foods. You don't know which one to pick, because they all look so good, And so that's what I'll hope to do today, help you kind of narrow it down to the right decisions. But first, before you go into any schooling, you have to be compliant. And that's so important. You have to know your state's homeschool laws, okay? Now, I know we have someone from, I think it was Illinois. This hslda.org, it is the website that tells your state's laws for homeschooling. So you need to go to that website and you need to do the research for your state. If you're here in Alabama, I have it right here, but that doesn't mean you don't need to go research. You need to know what the law says about your homeschooling compliance. because that's where you hear the stories. Oh, this family their children were taken or whatever. Most of the time it's because that family is not compliant with the homeschool laws. And that I took that very seriously, and I still do today, because I don't want, because we used to go to the grocery store in the middle of the day when most kids are at school, and Xander would be taking his sweet happy time counting out that money in the line while everybody else is in a rush. But they could not say anything to me about, why isn't your child in school? Because my child is in school, and I have the legal documents to back it up. I've done the things that I need to do. So that's important that you know those things. For Alabama, the code law is Code of Alabama 16.28.3 says, every child between the ages of 6 and 17 years shall be required to attend public school, private school, church school, or be instructed by a competent private tutor for the entire length of the school term for the entire scholastic year. And typically that for me is 180 days. Okay, so there it is. That's your law. Okay, here is more in-depth information. So if you want to take a picture of this, this right here, vimo.com/398996347, take a picture of that. And I encourage you, this is a video. The man that is on there, he will explain in depth about the Alabama law for homeschooling. I got this from the Birmingham homeschoolers community. They put this out in their workshop, and they said share it with friends. So I'm sharing it with friends. In your own time, you need to go and you need to listen to him, and he's going to break down the law. What I love about HSLDA is that for any state, you have lawyers that actually homeschool. They're not just saying, well, theoretically, I believe. No, they homeschool their children, and they are lawyers that represent us as homeschool families. So it's a great resource to go to if you have questions about, how do I get compliant with homeschool? Okay. So like I said, there are options. I am an advocate for children. So if you're saying, I'm still kind of on the fence, I still think I want to do public school where I send my child to school, great. There's also the remote public school where you need to get in contact with your local school system and see what the requirements are. But that's where what you kind of did if you were in the situation where you had to take your child out due to closures, but you were still talking to the teacher and doing remote learning. So you're still in the school system, but you're doing the learning over the computer. That's different from virtual public school. That actually is an academy where they use a specific public school system to teach you online learning. Okay, and I think it's the Alabama Connections Academy, but you would need to go, you've seen it online, K-12 or Connections Academy. Go and see what's required in order to be a part of that, right? So those options were not for us, but they may be for you. If you decide to homeschool, you will have to withdraw your student from the school system. And you'll have to notify the superintendent within 5 days of schooling. Why? Because they need to know that you're not truant, okay? And there are several ways you can do that. Just depends on which homeschooling option you want to do. Okay, so the different types of homeschooling options. You have private school, church school, and a private tutor. Okay, so what's the difference? The private school, this is where you can either start your own private school, or you can enroll in a local private school that has a home program, which I have several friends that have done that. And this option is for everybody, whether you're a secular family or a religious family or in-between family, it doesn't matter. Private school is a great option, okay? And again, you're going to have to notify your superintendent of what you're going to do. And this particular option, you would have to do it annually. Attendance, immunizations must be reported, okay? That's for that. Church school. Now, church school is also considered a cover school. This is where, and the HSLDA will go into more details about, what that means. But a church school, at minimum, keeps a record of your attendance and your transcripts. And they are mostly religious based, hence the word church school, whatever the religion. And parents are responsible for meeting the church school's requirements. We do Essentials Church School. We've worked with them. We've had kindergarten graduations. We really do like them. They're simple. They follow the law. But there's also other church schools out there that offer, sporting events and things like that you might want to look into, like Hope Christian. With this, you have to fill out the church school enrollment form one time. And then from then on, they take care of letting the schools know that you have additional children. Like, I just signed up my youngest for kindergarten, and all I did was let them know, and that was it. I didn't have to do anything else, okay? And then the last homeschool option is a private tutor. This is where you hire a private certified teacher to do the teaching for you. They must be certified teacher through whatever state. The tutor follows the public schools instructions, guidelines, and regulations, and they report attendance and the schedules. So you have to report this annually to your superintendent that you're going to be using a private tutor, but it's important to note that if you do this, they have to be a certified teacher, okay? All right, so the big question, Jennifer, what curriculum do you use? That's a hard question for me to answer, because I look at curriculum as a tool to be used to meet your students' needs and goals. Just like I was talking about the hammer. Every student is different. That's the beauty of homeschool. You get a chance to really focus on your child. But at the same time, that's a little scary to people because they get a chance to focus on their child. And it's an opportunity for you to really figure out, what kind of learning style does my child need? What learning method, what learning philosophy is best for my children? And that's where, in the phases, if you want me to do the personal coaching, I'll help you really dig in and know that. Currently, my homeschool group that I'm associated with, we're reading a book called How to Determine Your Child's Learning Style. That's our book club book. And so we're really digging in to find out, what is my child's learning style, so that you can pick the best curriculum. So if you want to know what I use, Saxon, The Good and the Beautiful, Xander Blosser, Netflix, Disney Plus, you can see all these are what work well for my kids. And how did I find out? I went to the curriculum review, as you can see, YouTube, Facebook, christianbooks.com, Kathy Duffy review. These are great review sites that, if you're like, I've heard of Saxon, but is it good for my child? Not everybody likes it, and then some people love it. We love it. It works for the first two kids. Now, my last child, I'm not sure. So that's another thing I've got to look into as she gets older. If you're worried about a budget, there are free homeschool curriculums. I'm sure you've heard of them. Khan Academy, Easy Peasy, The Good and Beautiful, Old Fashioned Education. These are free homeschool curriculums, and just because they're free doesn't mean that they're bad. We've used Good and Beautiful this is our second year to use it, and it's very, very, very good. It just so happens they offer some free PDFs. So, it's worth reviewing, okay? And if this is way over your head, that's what I'm here for, okay? This was a struggle for me, organization and getting on a schedule, because I am a sanguine I don't know if you know that word, but I like to have fun. What's the next place that I can have fun? I don't want to think about the hard stuff. I just want to have a good time, right? That's me. But my child, my first child, is not. Every morning he wakes up, he says, Mommy, what are we doing today? And what are we doing for the next 5 years? You know, like he basically wants his life planned out. And the first year of school, I just could not get down with that program, but I had to, you know, and so organization is key when you're homeschooling. Why? Because you are the dean of students, you are the principal, you are the teacher, you are everything that is involved in making a school go. And sometimes that can be frightening for people because, you know, that's a lot of responsibility. But then some people are freed up by that and they're like, woohoo, thank God, let's go. I'm in charge. I know what I want to do. I just need to know how to do it, you know? And so organization is key because I failed because I wasn't organized my first year. Okay. I didn't have a schedule because at home, people think that I'm readily available for going on errands. And so I say, sure. And then by the time we get back, at that time with a 5 and a 2.5-year-old, I was exhausted. And then I'm like, okay, we learned something, go to bed. You know, and so you know how it is. One day leads to a week leads to 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden a whole month is gone because you've not organized your schedule. Now, some of you, that may not be your weakness, but it's an important foundation for a homeschooling environment. Your schedule and your child's schedule. Especially Xander, he and Carly, they're learning how to be more independent, and so I have to plan out their schedule so that they can work in an environment where they can be independent. Okay, that's especially with multiples, you have to do that. Okay, so community. I know everybody's saying this is another foundation. This is one of the bigger foundations. People say, oh, homeschoolers, I don't want my kid to be weird and unsocialized. You know, I've heard it. And honestly, with being in homeschool, if you're going to use this tool for education, like I said, you're responsible for your child's socialization. With the other options, that's pretty much built in because they're at school, they're with the same people every day, they're playing outside, they have all these different resources for activities and PE. But as a homeschooler, you're responsible for that. So, you know, all that I have listed, homeschool communities, Facebook communities, curriculum-based co-op communities, library programs, these are all things that we participate in. So pre-COVID, if you call my house at 10:30 on most days, you wouldn't find me at home. You know, I would be out at the park with our friends, or we'd be at a library program for our youngest or for our oldest, or we'd just be hanging at the library. We'd be at McWayne Center, or we would be at the zoo. We would be places living our lives in the grocery store, learning from our environment. And when COVID hit, that changed everything because now we are actually literally stuck at home. And that was an adjustment for us. It doesn't have to be that way. We have Zoom dates, play dates. We've done many Zoom play dates. And now our homeschoolers group, we're going on a field trip this Friday to the drive-through safari. So COVID has not stopped us as much as it had in the beginning, but we have to do this on purpose. You have to be on purpose with your socialization. Community sports programs, you know, our kids play sports, baseball and tennis and dance, and they meet people like that, but it has to be on purpose. You are the sole provider for these things to happen, okay? So what's next? I've pretty much gone over the prerequisites to homeschooling and how to get started. You have the information. Like I said, I recorded this, so if you want this recording, if I went too fast, I could send it to you. But this is what it takes to get a strong, solid foundation for homeschooling. And I'm here for you. If you say, okay, great, I'm down for it, but I still think I'm going to need a little bit help just to get started, I'm here for you. I offer sessions for phase 2 where I'm going to get down in there and help you solidify your reason for homeschooling. I did a lot of crying my first year of homeschool because I was just so frustrated. But why did I keep going? Because I wanted my children to have a strong, solid foundation. And over again, people in my communities kept saying, you are your child's best teacher. You can do this. This is important, raising children. And so that was my why. That was our why. So we kept going. I'll help you figure that out. Deciding which homeschool fits you. Deciding which best curriculum and learning style and method is best for your child. I'll help you through that because I had to learn that, and I'm still working through that because our kids are changing every day, you know. So that's phase 2. And if you want to set up an appointment, just email me and we'll go from there. But if you don't and you say, okay, I've heard it, I'm completely confident now, I do not want to homeschool, that's fine. But I'm still going to be here for you because I have virtual tutoring sessions available through math, reading, and writing for grades K through 5. And if you have older students than that, then I can get you hooked up with some other tutors that are for high schoolers or whatnot. But like I said, I'm an advocate for your child's education. So I'm going to be here either way for you, whatever you need to assist you. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking your time to, listen. And I know it's overwhelming, but like I said, if you don't have any questions now and you think to yourself at 10 o'clock tonight, oh man, I want to know this, give me an email, okay? Let me know so that I can help you the best way that I can, okay? So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, like I said, email me and I will be glad to help you in any way that I can, okay? Okay, so I will talk to you all later. That's it. And I appreciate you all so much for coming. I'm a talker, so I got my husband is here supporting me, and he's like, wrap it up. So I'm gonna wrap it up. So I will talk to you all later. I hope y'all had a great time. Bye.